Hola, tribe. Whew. Hello. So, today I am sitting in an awareness that many, many tribal members are confused. As I would say, they drank too much poison and they're finding it difficult to filter what is truth and what is the distortion. So today I'd like to talk about a few things that you can do to help clear that, and where these distortions, limitations in the body can be found. So let's start with the story. I believe that the majority of us have been seeking God's energy, right? The love. And it's so powerful. And I mean, it's a pressure. It's so big that it's undeniable. And from an internal space, each one of our souls have been seeking this power, this energy, and we're searching and searching and searching for it. Unfortunately, most of us have searched outside of ourselves for this pressure, for this love, for whatever sensation the energy of Source feels like in you, or however you've chosen to identify it. Right? Truth, consciousness, love, power, Source. Whatever that feels like, we have been seeking it outside of ourselves. And unfortunately, we couldn't find it. And so what we did is we started to utilize artificial things to fill that void, right? And I like to think of it as, going to a recording studio. And when you're at a recording studio, they put like all this fluff or like foam on the walls, or wood, or different ways of creating sound, right? So that you can get more, I want to say, reverb off of the walls. So when the sound comes out, you can get more pressure back, and you can instrumentally direct where the sound moves, right? So we did the same thing, okay? We did the same thing. We are just a musical instrument. Our bodies are just musical instruments. So in our own way and in our own format, what we did is we created fluff, or we created, walls and barriers within our physical structure, so that when we sought the energy, we could hear it back different. We could hear it. We could feel the pressure of it. Unfortunately, what ended up happening is we created blockages in our bodies, because a lot of what we filled that space with wasn't real love. It wasn't authentic love. It was an artificial love that made us feel comforted, but it didn't provide for us what we needed. And so what ended up happening is people end up feeling more and more and more of themselves with this artificial love, and then they started identifying the artificial love as real love. And it's not true. It's not true. And many people are very sick right now. They're living in an illusion. They can't determine whether artificial love or authentic love. They can't tell the difference. They can't tell the difference. I'm sorry for that. All we can do is remind you, like beating a drum. Allowing the sound to remind you of what authentic love feels like. And then you must choose it. And you must choose all things that feed and nourish this authentic light. And it's scary. And the shedding of the artificial, it isn't fun. It isn't fun. It can feel sickly. It can feel nauseating. It can feel messy. Deep-rooted emotions and old stories will come out of you because it's like super glue. You put artificial love, you filled it in over an emotional issue. And so when you start to unlock it and remove it, you have to deal with the emotional issue that you had stored. So how do we do that? Okay, and a few things I've noticed of how we're storing it, where we're storing it. Let's start with a program that I've witnessed. So a lot of people are, how can I say this? They have like this, apologize, it's a little chilly. Not as cold as it is up in New England, I tell you what though. Don't be mad, don't be hating. And so, there is a false program, and those that don't support the light, or just those who are in resistance to it, I call them the opposition, right? I don't choose to refer to it as an enemy. I don't wish for them to be my enemy. They choose it. So, in fact, I just deem them the opposition. So, the opposition found a weakness in our systems, and what they chose to do was, it's kind of like lock into us and send programs like like every time the something shoots off, like in the brain, right? Every time we send a message off in the brain, it hits some spot and it like reverbs and it runs a program. It's like in your computer system, you say like a program keeps running that you don't want it to run, right? And you don't know how to change that, right? Like you usually have to go to a specialist, and they go and they defragment the system, or they remove whatever that was, and then they so the computer system runs smoothly, right? But most people don't know they're even running this program. And in the last couple of days, I witnessed someone who was so clear that every time she received authentic love, she would grab the back of her head and she would jolt it back, and she would receive the love, and she literally would have to try and release it, and she would get mad. How dare you give me real love when this program tells me that I am only worthy of artificial love. And she's also started to believe that artificial love is real love. Only you can determine that. I can't force feed anyone. Right, I love you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. And I asked someone once, I said, what if I shove their head in the water? What if I take that horse's head and I shove it in the water? Will they drink the water? And this person who worked with horses for like 20 some odd years looks at me and goes, no, in fact, a horse will not drink the water even if you shove its head in it. So, all I can do is offer you the pure water. You have to drink it. You have to choose it. I can't do it for you. So every time I offered this person the love, they rejected it. And what I've noticed, and this is really big for those of us in the tribe for that work within holistic and energetic medicines, I want you to pay attention to this. And those of you who are listening, what I'm seeing is that they locked into the third eye, the back of the third eye. So it's right underneath that occiput region here, okay? So like right at the back of the skull where you lift the head and neck. And that is now then attached down to underneath the diaphragm, right? And so it's sending a message, and it's, oh, how can I say it? It's almost like a choker. Right? So every time this person received the energy, it looked like somebody took reins, like took a horse's reins and yanked it back and tried to recontrol it. And her jaw was locked down, like she had a huge bit in the back of her jaw. So she was allowing something outside of her to control her responses. So there's a few things I would look into, is removing, it's like a claw underneath the occiput and the diaphragm hooked into these people, and it's removing it and then getting them to remove the bit from the back of their mouth, because what they do is they are so locked in to the program that they've created a pattern in their bodies, and that pattern in their bodies is as if there's a bit, a metal bit in the back of the mouth, like a horse would have. If you've ever seen a horse-driven carriage, they have a big metal bit in the back of their jaw, all the way back here, and they hold on to it. And if you look at people, you can see it's as if they have a bit. They're locking the back of their jaws. They're holding on to it. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm teaching classes, I remind them, I said, imagine removing that bit from your mouth. How will the rest of your body integrate, right? So if I was to remove the bit from the back of my mouth, you would feel the building blocks of your body soften, and they would restack themselves. Now, it's not enough just to soften them in that moment and restack. You must breathe into it. You must own the breath that is within that space. Okay? So once that bit has been removed, you've now created a space to breathe differently. And so you must claim that new breathing pattern. Okay? There's many ways of doing it. Again, always would love to work with you. But if you do not wish to work at a distance, or if I'm not local to you and you don't wish to work at a distance, seek others out there. Feel free to ask me if you want to know if they're in alignment with the journey, with the mission. I can help you with that as well. So the other piece to this that I've witnessed, as I mentioned earlier, we've been seeking God, right? We've been seeking that power, that force, that undeniable sensation of like, this is God, this is power, this is that feeling of empowerment that I know, and that it fills you with love, right? It fills you with love. It's so powerful. And we've been seeking it. What happened is that so many of us sought it outside of ourselves. And we couldn't find it. We couldn't find that force, that pressure. So as I said, we filled it with other things. What that did, what we were in, what we neglected to identify as God is grace. Grace is the space in between. Grace is the breath. Grace is the surrounding energy. That is God's love. It is gentle. It is sweet. We were so used to feeling this force of energy that grace just kind of felt painful, actually. When you're in a state of grace, you must own that empty space. And so many of us filled that empty space with painful memories, with artificial love, with things that just didn't serve us. Right? What does that mean? That means you must become accountable for it. Right? So many people go, ugh, gross, I don't want to deal with that, and they move on, and then they just keep going into the same negative patterns, even though their soul wants them to seek the purity, seek God, seek the bliss. Right? This whole time we've been seeking outside of ourselves. This whole time we've been reaching outside of ourselves for God's love. It's inside. It is inside of you. That is why it's been so painful. We keep reaching outside of ourselves and not feeling that power and meeting grace. And that's scary. Crazy, right? Scary. Grace is scary. So gentle. It is the God inside of you. Seek that. Seek the God inside of you. Be in your bones. Learn to identify and be in your own bones. Check out another video I have on YouTube, Healing the Bones. Trust is in the bones, I believe the name of the YouTube is. And I believe it is at either like 333 or 444 that the actual meditation starts. So if you want to skip the beginning piece and just do the visual meditation with me, it's there. I do hope to have a better YouTube for you in the future with this work. But I recommend go and look at a skeleton, briefly look at it, see what it looks like, and then start to see your own from the inside, right? Start to try to avoid some of this light. Scan your own bones from the inside, right? Oh no, scary, right? I can't even tell you how many people that I make them scan their bones and they run. Run. Change subject. Literally tell me it's too much. It's too powerful. It's too much. Isn't that interesting? I don't blame them. Deeming oneself worthy enough to hold this level of light. We were all given it. We were all given this level of light. But you need to deem yourself worthy of being a beacon of it, of holding it, of being the lighthouse. You need to deem yourself worthy. No one else outside of you can. And every time you seek it outside of you, that abyss, that emptiness that you're feeling is grace. Breathe that softness in. For that is God's love. And the power of God is inside of your bones. I love you so very much. I love you. Thank you for playing this game of life. Thank you for owning the light. Thank you for trusting me. Peace out, y'all. I'll see you soon.